How's it going, boys? Patrick Lineau back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing and projecting some contracts for some of the biggest RFAs this offseason. So I have a list of 5 players. We're going to go through each individual guy. I'll show you his stats, and then I'm going to discuss what I think he's going to get as a contract. Not necessarily what he's worth, but what I think his contract will be, because obviously some guys sign for bigger deals than they're worth, some guys sign for smaller. So I'm going to be discussing what I think they're going to get. This is no play on what I think how good these guys are. This is just what I think their contracts are going to be. So without further ado, let's get into this one. So to start us off, we're going to start with Brayden Point. Now, Brayden Point, pretty good player in his career, 198 points in 229 games. Obviously, last year he blew up with 92 points in 79 games, 40 goals, and a 50-assist season. That's, incredible numbers. And Brayden Point, Tampa's going to have to find a way to keep him on the team and get him a contract because they don't have a lot of money to throw around. My projection is that he's going to get an 8-year deal at $76 million, which is a $9.5 million average. Brayden Point, he's tremendous. He had a 30-goal season in his second year and obviously 92 points in his third year. Now, you could say that's because he plays with superstars, but Brayden Point is a ridiculously talented player. What a steal by Tampa. And I think he should be in the $9.5 million average. I could see him slip to 9 or maybe even below 9 because, he wants to help Tampa fit on the team. They have a lot of contracts, so they need to save some money somewhere. So if he's that kind of player, he could take a team-friendly deal. But Brayden Point, $9.5 million average, definitely a great player and a star for Tampa Bay. Next on the list, we're going to be talking about Mikko Rantanen, who had a second straight 80-plus point season. One of the big 3 on that insane line with Landeskog and McKinnon. In 239 games, 209 points, gets a lot of assists, but can score goals, obviously a 31-goal season. Almost 60 assists, missed some times. Would have had 60 assists, I think, if he had played the full season. But I am predicting an 8-year, $80 million contract for him at $10 million a season. I think that's completely fair for a guy who's so young and so offensively dominant. He fits right in with that Colorado culture, and they are saving so much money with McKinnon. I think he's 3 or 4 more years at like 6.2 or 6.3. So with some of the money they're saving there, they can throw it at Rantanen because he definitely deserves it. They want to get this guy under contract. Colorado has a little bit of money they might be spending this offseason, but I think their priority number 1 is getting Mikko Rantanen locked up. And I'm predicting 8 years, $80 million, and $10 million a season for Mikko Rantanen. So third up is probably the biggest player on this list, and I have Mitch Marner. Now, obviously, Mitch Marner, 224 points in 241 games. What a great player. Last year, he really blew up, 94 points in 82 games, almost a 70-assist year, really coming out and stating that he is a great player on Toronto. And so this is one of the guys that I don't have getting a full deal. I have him at 5 years and $52.5 million for $10.5 million per season. The reason being is that Matthews' extension was also the exact same amount of years as this, a 5-year extension. I think if Marner doesn't get offer sheeted, which is, the odds are getting ever so higher every day he doesn't get signed, I feel like a 5-year deal would be the smartest for Mitch Marner because at that point, when him and Matthews both expire, they would be at the exact same time. And if Matthews decides to go or if he's already signed, then Marner can kind of command a higher salary or he has the option to leave at that point. So I think, in Mitch Marner's best interest, if he does sign with Toronto, I think it would be a 5-year, $52.5 million. Obviously, this hasn't been discussed too much. I don't know what the suggested amount by most experts for Mitch Marner is. I haven't been keeping up too much on it, but I think a 5-year would make sense because obviously, like I said, when Matthews' 5-year extension is up, Mitch can dart or he can sign a bigger contract even if Matthews decides to leave. But that's my prediction: 5 years, $52.5 million, and $10.5 a year for Mitch Marner. Next up on the list, we have my boy, we have Patrick Laine. Now, Laine, a very controversial player, especially after last season. But with Laine, I think we can't ignore the facts. He had 110 goals before he was 21 years old, 184 points in 237 games. Obviously, as we all know, last year was the down year for him. But 30 goals and 50 points, you know, nothing shy of, you know, still a good season for Lineau, just not what we thought he would do. He had a lot of ups and downs throughout the season, 18 of his 30 goals coming in 1 month. But for Lineau's contract, I have predicted him to get a 5-year, $42.5 million contract at $8.5 million a year. So this one, I don't think he signs the full 8 years because, you know, I don't think he signs like a 2 or 3 year bridge deal. So I have him put right in the middle at 5 years at $42.5 million. When he comes out of this contract, he'll be in his prime at 26 years old, so it makes sense, you know, 26, 27, 28 is considered the prime of a player's career, so he'd be able to sign a huge deal, and obviously he's not making the 9 or 10 million that some of the other guys are getting, but 8.5 million is nothing to shy away at. That is a huge deal. It would still put him as the highest paid player on the Jets. And I think this contract makes sense for both parties. You know, like I said, Lineau can sign a bigger deal when he's in his prime, but still gets paid for what he's done so far. But they don't have to give him that 9 or 10 million that a lot of people think he should have had, obviously, before this season. But Patrik Laine, that's my prediction for him. Great player, and I hope he stays with the Jets for a long, long time. And the last player I have on my list is Brock Besser. Now, Brock has only played 2 full NHL seasons, and in that time has basically 60 goals and 57 assists for 116 points. Last year, he missed some time with some injury, but still managed a pretty good season. In 69 games, had 56 points with 26 goals. And my prediction for Brock is a 5-year, $37.5 million contract with a $7.5 million AVV. Brock Besser is a great goal scorer, but he's reached pretty much 30 the last 2 seasons. But you know, I think he's a talented player. I think $7.5 million because, you know, the Canucks want him to come back. They have some money they can throw around. Brock Besser, I don't know if he signs the max. I don't think he signs the full 8 years because I think he's a 40-goal scorer in the future, and he might want to bank on himself. But I also like Lineau and Marner. I don't think he's one of those guys that's going to sign a 2 to 3 bridge year. I think we know exactly what Brock Besser can be and is right now. So I think the 5-year makes the most sense. You know, like those other 2, it carries him into his prime, where he can sign and make his real big boy dollars then. But $7.5 million average is nothing to scoff at right now. He'll certainly be raking in the dough, and Brock Besser will deserve it. And that is the last player I have on the RFA predictions list. So that is the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoy. Obviously, this is a very interesting topic, and there is, you know, a very wide, broad range of contracts that are, you know, could happen or won't happen. So you guys let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out and goodbye.